Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. Hey, all you minties! Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at the X Factor by Peter David Omnibus Volume 3 from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, before getting started, I do want to thank David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on March 12th or 13th, depending on where you get your books. And speaking of direct market, book market, we are looking at the direct market cover here. This is the cover that is provided by Nick Bradshaw. On the left-hand side is your standard edition cover, and that one is supplied by David Yardin. And the spines are different. You have Multiple Man in the standard edition cover, and you have one of my favorite characters, Siren, in the direct market cover. Everything underneath the dust jacket is the same, so we are going to be shifting the focus back to this cover right here supplied by Nick Bradshaw. This is the connecting cover to like Wolverine and the X-Men and the other X titles that were coming out this particular month, and it's the Regenesis era of X-Men. But I'm a huge Nick Bradshaw fan, and every time I see a cover like this, it reminds me that how much I miss him in internal artwork. But here you have the team that is going to be in this book. Some of them don't join till a little bit later, so you have Strong Guy, Multiple Man, and for a Multiple Man, he's only there once, but I guess when you're doing an entire roster, we'll look at the roster here in the extras, but you have Longshot, Polaris, Shatterstar, Havoc, Wolfsbane, Siren, M, Layla Miller, and Richter. And we'll take a look at the spine right here. X Factor by Peter David, Delandro, and Lupacchino, I believe. And then, of course, Siren, Volume 3, and then the back of the book right here featuring another shot of the team, including this guy right here who didn't make the front cover. Now, before there's any mention of this, what is this? This is a review copy, so my copy looks like the printer cut it up there. I'm sure your copy is going to be 100% fine, but so much so that it kind of cut a little bit into the book itself. And one thing I'm going to say about the dust jackets, this is from the Mega Print, is that they seem a lot thicker than the dust jackets printed at the Donnelly printer and the iMac printer. But what does Jamie Madrox have to live for? And then the creators here on the right-hand side, Emma Lupacchino, Valentin Delandro, and then, of course, Peter David. Underneath the dust jacket image, it's this wonderful image from the cover to issue 200 in here. Now, I'm going to put the dust jacket back on just to show you how it looks next to volumes 1 and 2 of X Factor by Peter David. And of course, one day I hope we get a volume 4. Oh my gosh, that would be so awesome, because we still have the rest of this series and then the all-new, all-different X Factor era. But let's come back to this. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to talk about the stories collected in here. If you haven't read Volume 1 nor 2, I strongly suggest at least reading Volume 2. Volume 2 gives you a clean start. It's the X Factor Investigations era. Volume 1 is still that era of X Factor that was right after the Extinction Agenda, and X Factor was relaunched under Peter David, and he started using those characters. It's a lot of fun, but do you need to have read it to enjoy the stories in here? Not really. But if you have, oh my gosh, if you have, you're in for some treats here. So I am going to be talking about some minor spoilers, and I'll let you know ahead of time when I'm going to do that. But let's crack it open. All right, let's go ahead and open up this omnibus. Some black end sheets, a title page right here. X Factor by Peter David. And, of course, your credits right here. X Factors 40, 46 through 50. All these issues right here. Valentin Delandro is the artist. Or the penciler, I'm sorry. Pat Davidson is the inker with Jeremy Cox doing the colors. Valentin Delandro also inking some stuff with Craig Young. And then you have Marco Santacucci right here with the inkers Pat Davidson. So pretty much what it does is it's breaking down who drew what issue of X Factor, who the colorist was, and who the letterer was at the time, who the editor was at the time, and then who the cover artist was. But the most important thing is that all of this is written by the phenomenal Peter David. So this kind of gives you an idea of what happened previously. So I'm going to skip that page because I am going to be talking about that. But before I do, this collects X Factor 40 through 50. Again, that's the series, the third volume, because we have the original X Factor with the original 5 X-Men. Then we have volume 2, which is the 4-issue miniseries that has nothing to do with this, nor the previous series. And then we have this. So this is volume 3 that's kicked off in 2005. That was a spin-off of House of, or not really House of M, but really spin-off of Madrox and I guess House of M. 40 through 50, and then it got renumbered to its legacy number, 200 to 232, also 224.1, and Nation X X Factor. This book has 1,160 pages and retails for $125. All right, minor spoilers as to what's happened previously. Kind of giving you the little status quo of what's happening here. Why is everybody so disjointed? Why can't everybody trust each other? Without going into big details. Okay. Layla Miller is missing because of the events that happened in the Messiah Complex, where that crossover happened, and her and Jamie Madrox are sent to the future, and that's why he came back with an M on his face. Something happened in the previous volume between Siren and Jamie, and a baby on the way. Something awful happened to that baby, so Jamie had to step away, and not just Siren, but the rest of X Factor still holds him responsible. I remember when I got to announce that book, and this one, I was like, now there's something big that happens towards the end of that book that it made a lot of readers upset, but it's Peter David writing these stories, so you know it's going to upset some readers, and that's when you know you've got something special. And I'm not going to go into detail because I really want people to read it. So in this volume, we start off with Jamie with a beard, and he's part of this stick-up. Like, there's somebody that's going in there to talk to people. He's a priest, or rather a preacher, a man of God, doesn't matter, and he's walking in here to talk to these guys that are holding people hostages. They're holding up a convenience store, but Madrox is one of these people. He's got a broken finger. How he got that, find out in the previous volume. And this guy's trying to talk people out of killing everybody in there, and like I said, he's a man of God. So Jamie notices that he's a man of God, and he kind of follows him. This guy has a family, and they're waiting for a nun to come in from out of town to kind of take over the rectory. And Jamie approaches this guy, and what he's wanting is forgiveness from a higher power. It's an Episcopal church. And he goes deep into this whole story as to, you know, what's happened to him, why he's asking for forgiveness. But the biggest thing that happens here is he finds out that this guy is actually a duplicate. It's one of his Jamie Madrox duplicates, that he's out there living a full life. We've seen this before. And that's the beauty of this story, of the stories that you're going to find in here. You're going to see some things borrowed, but you're going to see some twists and turns with that. And I think Peter David has such a strength to his storytelling. One of them being dialogue, too. And twists and turns, so many in here. It's not that big of a deal that you find out that he is a duplicate. And Jamie's about to pull the trigger on himself because the priest was trying to stop him. But then in walks the nun, and it is revealed that the nun is none other than Layla Miller, all grown up, and she knows stuff. So she has come back from the future, only to take Jamie Madrox back to the future, 80 years from now. Meanwhile, we see the whole team, again, hanging out with Lenore in Detroit, and they're trying to figure out where Jamie has gone, whether to forgive him or not. He's hanging out in the future with a whole cast of characters, including this young lady right here, known as Ruby Summers, who could be related to, of course, one of the Summers, but there's so many of them. And the cast of X Factor that is still up in Detroit, they're trying to solve some cases on their own. And their own is being affected by different things that are going to happen here. And there's this whole storyline called Cortex, and Cortex is a character that's going around and hurting people, taking over people. We don't really know exactly who Cortex is, but that's all we know is the name. So they're trying to figure out who that is, and in walks Shatterstar, and holy crap, Shatterstar adds a amazing element to the story at the beginning. Because if you've read pages of Fabian Nicias' X-Force, and you read, of course, just a little bit of New Mutants, mainly 98, 99, but they really met up in X-Force. The relationship between Richter and that of Shatterstar was always one that we kind of knew what was going to happen, but at the time, because of the comics code and because of editors, they couldn't really come out and say it. Let me tell you something. Peter David doesn't care. He knew what was happening, and he adds it to this, and boy, does it add all kinds of drama to the story. Darwin and Monet get a little bit close together. She's having a crisis of conscience. Meanwhile, Cortex is going around. Jamie is hanging out in the future with these characters. We don't know exactly who they are or who to trust. And, oh my gosh, there's just so much to talk about in this book. And it's really difficult to talk about without going into spoilers. But if you enjoy the history of X-Men, if you know the whole connection or the vague connection between, let's just use Longshot and Shatterstar as an example. So, you know, we've been kind of hinted at the relationship between Longshot and Shatterstar. Shatterstar, when he first appeared, says he's from Mojoverse, but he's not from the same timeline that Longshot is from. So, you know, in, what was it, X-Men 11, adjectiveless X-Men 11, there's a little hint as to who Shatterstar is in relation to the character of Longshot, and you're like, oh, well, that explains everything. Not so far. In comes in, what was it, Jeff Loeb, and then John Francis Moore, and it twists up the whole storyline of Shatterstar, who he really is, and then it's all vague after that. Nobody uses the character. In comes Peter David, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to borrow here, I'm going to borrow from here, and I'm going to borrow from here. And I'll kind of put things together, but kind of make it jokingly make sense. And he does such an amazing job. Do you remember the whole idea of Layla Miller? This is, God, I love this story so much. The whole idea of Layla Miller was she was a mutant that first appeared in the pages of House of M. Was it House of M number 4? And Bendis created her as the next big thing, the next big breaking out star of Marvel Comics. But it wasn't until Peter David's X Factor that we knew what kind of character she was. It's just, all she said is, I'm Layla Miller and I know stuff. She went to the future, she's come back as an adult. Her and Jamie have this really weird relationship. But in here, you might find out exactly how she knows stuff. Why she knows so much. And I love that Peter David not just lays it out for you, but he lays the hints there. The X-Nation one-shot is in here in a proper the whole book is in a great reading order, by the way. Where pretty much after some events, again in X-Men, after Second Coming, the X-Men have built this nation, Nation X, and they've invited X-Factor to stay. People are reunited. Richter and Shatterstar are confusing people, and I love it. I've really learned to like the character of Darwin. Darwin was created during this run called Deadly Genesis, not one of my favorite retcons. As a matter of fact, I can't stand that retcon. But that's the beauty of Peter David's writing. He can take a character like Darwin and make him likable. He can take a character like Shatterstar, who's one-dimensional in the pages of New Mutants, but Fabian Nicias was already doing that, and just give him so many different layers. And then, after issue 50, after the big fight, after the whole Cortex storyline, we get to issue 200, where X-Factor goes back to New York, and they go back to solving cases. This time, Jamie's back with them, Layla Miller. Now we've got Shatterstar joining the team. Oh man, does this complicate things. And their first case is that of trying to find out what happened to the Invisible Woman. Franklin Richards is the one that hires them, because Reed Richards wants nothing to do with what happened to the Invisible Woman. So that becomes a really interesting storyline. Because how did that happen? Why does Reed not care about his missing wife? So towards the earlier issues of, once it gets renumbered back to 200, so I can't really say the earlier issues, we do get a lot of those classic noir mystery stories that I enjoy so much about X-Factor. A couple of like one-off stories, but the whole time, it's building up to a bigger storyline. Monet right here getting captured by vampire type of people with a little bit of twist. We have the crossover event here, but not really necessary to read what's going on everywhere else. But this is the Second Coming event. So Second Coming is when Bastion and a lot of other characters are brought back, like Bolivar Trask, and they're hunting down mutants. So, of course, X-Factor gets involved. And there's some badass moments for a lot of characters here. Like Shatter. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, I miss this team. I miss this era of X-Men. It's so good. And completely underrated. Not enough people appreciate this. Okay, I have to talk about the return of Wolfsbane. You saw her on the cover. Wolfsbane left because, okay, you know, I'm just going to say it. Editors wanted to use her in something else. A bigger writer came around. Two big writers, Kyle and Yost, said, hey, we'd like to use Wolfsbane in our book called X-Force. Editor said, yes, you're Kyle and Yost. Go for it. Sorry, Peter David. I feel like sorry, Peter David is a lot of the opening sentences from editors to him. Sorry, Peter David, you can no longer use this character. And my guy, this is why I have so much respect for him. He just rolls with the punches. It's like, all right, well, that sucks. I was going to write a storyline that featured that character. Take her. Same thing with Havoc and Polaris. Sorry, Peter David, we've got Deadly Genesis coming. And we need them on a new team. X-Men in space. Yeah, go ahead. You can have them. I'll just write something else. Oh, man. Such a talent. So, we do have the return of Rain. She comes back and she's pregnant. Now, do you need to have read what happened in the pages of X-Force to understand why she's pregnant? No. I do believe 5th grade. Never mind. I'm not even going to make that joke. But something happens, right? And it's a question of who the father is. And through here, you get to find out there's a freaking love triangle. And there's not just one love triangle. There's a couple love triangles here. So if you like drama, this book is for you. Oh, man. One of my favorite beginnings is who one of the people is that... yes, right here. I love this beginning. Mr. Madrox, I need your help. She was tall and elegant, with a body that was 80% legs and 100% trouble. It just didn't come more noir than her. Love that opening. Tells you right there exactly what these types of stories are like. They know what they're supposed to be. And Peter David just has fun with it. So of course that's Hela. She's hiring them for a job that ends up gaining them another team member, and that is Pip. And you can find out exactly how that happens. There's a trio of deadly women right here that are trying to... Ballistic as one of them. Ballistic, or I guess ballistic, if you want, but it's spelled differently. That are trying to assassinate the mayor of New York City. And during this time, that mayor is a very popular character. People are coming. Supernatural forces are coming for Rain's baby. It's not just a normal baby. Returning characters from the pages of X-Force show up through here. Pages from Wolverine show up, or characters from Wolverine show up through here. The whole drama between Jamie and Layla Miller really intensified towards the end of the book here. And leaving it with another time traveling or dimension hopping storyline that pretty much ends with a new team by the end of the book. A couple of characters leave. As a matter of fact, one of the characters ends up dying, but you can find out who that is and by reading the book. But let's welcome everybody back and look at the extras. So we have variant covers all the way in the back. I love that Kevin Maguire cover to issue 200. More issue 200 variant covers. 205 Heroic Age cover. This is the connecting cover I was talking about. So you have the X Factor piece here. You got the X-Men by Mike Carey, but I think it was Christos Gage that took over the run after that. Wolverine and the X-Men, and then of course the X-Force book right there. Character designs right here by Valentin Delandro. And then Official Handbook of the Marvel Universe. This is the profiles from X Factor 200. So telling you, of course, first appearances, their powers. Do not read this until you've read the book. Have more fun getting to know the characters. Then that's the beauty of Peter... Is that... Oh, Rob Liefeld inked by Brian Murray. That's why it looks so weird. Oh, Adam Polina. Love that guy. Have fun getting to know the characters, because the beauty of Peter David's dialogue and storytelling is that he gets you so familiar with the characters, it's like you've always known them. He is so good at that. Oh, and if you've read Captain Marvel, if you've read his Wonder Man series from the 90s, there's a couple of payoffs in here you're going to love. And returning characters like Pip. Beloved Pip. Interviews in the back. Again, character sketches and original art. And pencils back here. And this is the script to page area. So you got like 230. but I'm not going to show what happens there. And then a page here from the Origins of Marvel Comics X-Men 2010. Let's look at the binding. 1,160 pages and sewn binding. Big eye. Love it. Love seeing that. Mega print. So the paper stock is thick, glossy paper. Let me find you. I had to come back all the way to the back because there's spread pages towards the beginning are a little bit spoilerish. So let's look at the back here. Very minimal gutter loss. It's all there if you hold it down, but very minimal gutter loss. You can tell by Gambit's hair. And again, just minor bleed through. I honestly didn't even notice. But that is it. Oh my gosh. If you're a fan of X-Men titles and you haven't read X Factor by Peter David, you're really missing out. It's a wonderful series, and hopefully they'll finish it out with a volume 4. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking this up to continue your X Factor by Peter David omnibus, and if you hope one day they finish it off with a volume 4. And what cover you got from this particular volume. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button. I would also like to ask what other X-related omnibus you would like to see collected one day. But that's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.